Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us at 7 o'clock. I'm Tracey McCain.
And I'm Caitlin Francis. Today is Wednesday. It's October 9th. And we have a lot to talk about here this morning. Obviously tracking Hurricane Milton along the Gulf of Mexico, heading in towards the Florida coast. So let's say good morning to meteorologist Jill Gilardi for a check of not only our first alert forecast here in Connecticut, but obviously all eyes on Milton this morning.
Yeah, it's been defying all forecasts. It's one of those goes into beast mode, I call it, where it's been, re-strengthening. Even when forecasts to not become a 5 becomes a 5 again. We'll be checking in, of course, with the National Hurricane Center to see if there's been any weakening. You can see the eye is a little bit less defined in that last frame. So it is filling in a little bit, or at least it's, cooling off instead of warming. And so what we're going to be expecting along the coastline of Florida, the western side of the state, there could be storm surge up to 10 to 15 feet. So that's going to take away, first story homes, maybe even some second story that are not elevated. Then 12 to 18 inches of rainfall, so inland flooding. And then there's that threat for tornadoes. And of course, the damaging winds that are going to be stretching hundreds of miles. All right, so the latest still 160-mile-per-hour winds, and it's moving off to the northeast at 14 miles per hour. It's forecast to weaken just a hair. Not enough to, reduce any catastrophic damage between Tampa and Fort Myers. Again, that landfall is happening tonight into tomorrow morning. Locally, a little bit of patchy fog, but otherwise our weather is great. A few passing clouds may get a brief sprinkle across western Connecticut. A little chilly out there. You need the long sleeve with temperatures generally in the 40s. And we're headed for an afternoon enjoying lovely 60s. So we'll talk more about the impacts expected in Florida and beyond that with Milton, of course, our local weather. I'll be back again a little bit later.
All right, thanks, Jill. Let's get you a check on those roads if you're heading out the door here this morning. Starting to see some typical delays build across the state at this time. Very normal. You can see 84 eastbound Waterbury to Hartford, just a 35-minute ride, so not doing too bad. And then New Haven to the George Washington Bridge, just over a 100-minute ride there, 95 southbound. The Parkway also backing up. And worth mentioning here, along Route 15 northbound, so the Parkway through Greenwich, DOT is reporting a crash that was involving a vehicle versus a deer. Between exits 31 and 33, the right lane there is closed, so the Parkway is going to definitely be backing up there. That's the only incident that I'm following for you across the state at this time. Rest of the state looking good. Grab the sunglasses as you're heading out the door, but could still be dealing with some damp roads, and then that daytime construction work picks up between 8:30 and 9. That's a quick check at your Connecticut Chevy First Alert traffic report driven by your Connecticut Chevy dealers.
Well, happening now, volunteers from right here in Connecticut are on their way to Florida, preparing to help once Hurricane Milton hits.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Marcy Jones has the very latest on the enormous effort from the American Red Cross. So good morning, Marcy. So how many volunteers are we talking about here?
Good morning, and great question. Well, when the gravity of the power of Milton set in, volunteers started lining up to help. We know a new wave of about a dozen volunteers left overnight. There's another one leaving in just a little while at 9 a.m. out of Farmington. They're going to be joining another 50 from both Connecticut and Rhode Island already down south, helping after Hurricane Helene. Now, volunteers from American Red Cross know the drill when folks are faced with disaster and told to evacuate. That's when they spring into action, heading into crisis management mode. They help to set up shelters, mobile medical stations, bring food, supplies, support, and comfort. Some Connecticut Red Cross volunteers are already on the ground in places like Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Florida. That's because they were sent there 2 weeks ago to assist victims of Hurricane Helene. While typical Red Cross deployments last about 2 weeks, this double hit of Helene and Milton is uncharted territory, and many volunteers are making the decision to stay longer and help where they can.
Even if I can help just one person, that's great.
I just can't even imagine what these people are going through, especially the ones that have just been through a storm a couple weeks ago.
To get from here to Orlando, it's about a 2-day trip driving wise, so the Red Cross is always looking for more volunteers. If you'd like to get some information on how to get involved, we've put up a link on our website. In the studio, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, check out these trailers in Groton that are on the way to Asheville, North Carolina right now. Volunteers at the Groton Bowling Center collected 5 trailers worth of supplies for people recovering from Hurricane Helene. Neighbors have been generously donating supplies in the last few days. Drivers just hit the road this morning.
I'm sure that's very welcome news for folks down south. We also want to let you know about a 3 Cares event to help those affected by Hurricane Helene. Bear's Smokehouse hosting the Hope for Asheville fundraiser. That's tonight starting at 5:30 in New Haven at, again, Bear's Smokehouse. Tickets are $50. They include food, entertainment, and a silent auction. All the money goes towards relief efforts in North Carolina.
Well, this morning, the conversation about school safety continues, and New Britain schools are considering metal detectors. This week, school leaders are bringing the idea to staff and students.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Olivia Schuler has all of the mixed bag of reactions from New Britain High School.
The idea of metal detectors was brought to staff and parents during last night's open forum. Some for the idea of metal detectors, although some against it as well. Now, this idea is coming to the table after there was a phone threat targeting Vance Elementary School just a few weeks ago. Now, the district is searching for a solution to stop the threats and make everyone feel safe. In a fall survey done by the district, 936 parents were asked whether they were for or against metal detectors. 85% said yes in the middle schools, and 74% said yes in the elementary schools. However, last night during an open forum with the Board of Education, a mixed bag of responses. Some parents say it's a short-term solution, if one at all. Others say metal detectors could help eliminate other items students shouldn't have in the classroom.
I want my kids to be safe, but I feel like this is a knee-jerk reaction to keep people quiet and to give parents a false sense of security.
These children are bringing in marijuana, vapes, all type of, drugs inside the school. So if you bring metal detectors, it's going to detect these things.
The Board of Education says the earliest they would decide on a vote would be on November 4th. In New Britain, Olivia Schuler, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Well, right now, as Harford Police are looking for the man they say secretly took photos of people inside of a fitting room. Take a look here. We're working to learn where this all happened, but investigators did release these photos of the man they believe was involved. Police say he drives a silver Toyota Highlander, model years 2003 to 2007. They say it has a noticeable dent in the front driver's side of the car. If you recognize him, call police.
Well, this morning, a group of children facing charges after being arrested and accused of using a stolen car to commit armed robberies. Police caught 5 minors, all between the ages of 11 and 15 on Monday afternoon. We're told the group led police on a chase through New Haven and East Haven before an officer was able to stop them with his cruiser. Those children all started running. They were caught and they're charged with larceny and interfering with an officer.
A community is coming together as a high school student fights for his life following a hit and run. Tomorrow night at 5:30, there will be a prayer service for 16-year-old Liam Shields. It's happening at the Church of St. Anne in Avon. There are also fundraisers this week, one at Luna Pizza and Crown and Hammer in Collinsville. This follows the arrest of 29-year-old Alex Rivera. Police say he hit Shields with his car as Shields was riding his bike last Friday. Rivera now faces several charges and is being held on a $100,000 bond.
7:09 here this morning. New details from the I-Team about the potential closure of Payer College. The college was required to file a closure plan with the state as it works through a possible appeal. The I-Team was the first to report the state denied the college from reopening after an investigation found a number of issues. So Payer College now appealing that decision. Through a Freedom of Information request, the I-Team got a copy of the school's closure plan if that appeal fails. The document says Payer would establish teach-out agreements with nearby institutions to help students finish their degrees. Students, though, tell the I-Team they have not received any update from the school in more than a week. Payer leaders have not responded to our multiple requests for comment. For the full story, check the WFSB app.
Well, this morning, the fire marshal in Orange is working to figure out what started this car fire. Check it out. We told you about this first on Eyewitness News yesterday morning. We're told a newspaper delivery person was driving on Cedarwood Drive just after 5 in the morning when this happened. It took 15 firefighters to put the fire out. Fortunately, the driver wasn't injured. Wow. Well, threats have been impacting communities across the country and right here at home. So we're hearing from the FBI now about how its local agents are investigating.
The FBI New Haven field office says common threats include cyber safety and scammers who prey on the elderly. Another big one we've seen are swatting threats at schools. We've been reporting on it nearly every single day. Agents say they've seen at least one a day for the last month.
They work with state and local partners to pursue those cases, and we're told they're doing the same when it comes to election safety.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is 7:10. An update on our local weather. We've been tracking on the only live radar in the state, a spot shower or two, but really it's going to be a dry start, though a little dampness on the ground just because we cooled off, and we had a little bit of fog development, so there is certainly a lot of dew out there. And in terms of our cloud cover, some scatter clouds are building in. You can see some of those along with a beautiful sunrise happening in Waterbury. It's 44 degrees there, a little bit of patchy fog limiting visibility, especially in Hartford, down to a half a mile. It's 46 in Hartford, 41 in Willimantic, 48 in New Haven. The day ahead features those temperatures feeling like fall, that's for sure, with highs in the low to mid 60s, so a little bit cooler than yesterday, a little breezy as well, but nonetheless a beautiful day. We'll have much more on Milton coming up here very shortly. For now, let's send it over to Kate.
All right, thanks, Jill.